Half-Life 3, Star Wars 1313, Silent Hill PT, all highly desired games that will never be made or have been cancelled. An upsetting fact for many, but perhaps an even worse crime, is to keep an anticipated game in production indefinitely. Continuously stringing along your audience and keeping empty promises keeps players holding on to a false sense of hope and allows undeserving developers to manipulate their fans into giving them money and support. Everyone knows that game development is a difficult and time-consuming task that would take a lot out of anybody. But as we've seen from dozens of indie developers, there are ways to create an enjoyable game within a reasonable set of time and satisfying waiting fans. But not everyone can live up to those expectations. In fact, some fail so horrendously that the future of their game is dead before its full release. These are 5 games that will be in production forever. Yandere Simulator. Yandere Simulator is a stealth action simulator game created by the appropriately named Yandere Dev. It is a parody on the character archetype occasionally seen in anime, characterized by an obsessive love or infatuation which often leads to acts of violence or other antisocial behavior, a form of affection or an attempt to have their feelings reciprocated. The player takes control of Ayano Aishi, more commonly known as Yandere-chan, a high school girl in love with Taro Yamada, more commonly known as Senpai. The main goal of the game is to eliminate your rivals before the end of the week when they plan to confess their feelings to Senpai. Players navigate a mimic of a Japanese-style school, finding and planning ways to prevent the rivals from taking Senpai. Various ways to achieve this include murder, kidnapping, expulsion, befriending, and many more. Yandere Simulator began development in 2014 and garnered a great amount of popularity in April of 2015. Multiple large gaming YouTubers, including the likes of PewDiePie and Markiplier, began posting videos showcasing the game to an audience of millions. Players were initially drawn to the game for its humorous and ridiculous nature and commitment to the exaggerated scenarios and reactions in anime. In addition to this, at the time, Yandere Dev had earned himself a positive reputation among fans, and his willingness to communicate directly with his players. This all changed, however, when Yandere Dev found himself in a bed of controversies, leeching money from his supporters for years without providing them with the promised product, treating any type of criticism as trolls or hate, not giving credits to any of his volunteers, firing a group that was active helping make the game, emotionally manipulating other game developers to cease all their work on their own games, and most recently, accusations of grooming a 16-year-old. What was once thought to be an average indie game developer has morphed and revealed something very different. In lieu of these events, Yandere Dev has lost a large percentage of his audience and his supporters. Even ignoring his questionable activities, interest for the game was already being lost. The closest thing to a full release this game has gotten is a demo released in 2017, where the player can test out different ways to eliminate the first of 10 rivals. Yandere Dev's reasoning for keeping the game in development for so long is the desire to avoid a premature release of the game, as seen in games such as Cyberpunk 2077. While this is a reasonable explanation, the truth is that his lust for perfection is misguided. What made the game popular initially was the silly nature of the game and the shoddy gameplay. Players just wanted a funny anime game they could pick up and mess around in, not an anime version of Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. If Yandere Dev had chosen to release the demo as a full version and follow up with updates post-release, the game may still have had a chance. Instead, he decided to hold off on it, adding NPCs, minor additional mechanics, and additional game modes that are practically useless without a completed base. Even if Yandere Dev were to fully release his so-called masterpiece, Yandere Simulator would be a failure regardless of how well it is made. Aside from a few dedicated supporters, nobody even cares if it gets completed, and realistically speaking, Yandere Dev benefits more from keeping it incomplete. His main source of income is from his Patreon subscribers. Completing the game would end all that support. Not to mention, any kind of internet fame he has will end. The best case scenario is that the game will have a short period of fame and quickly fade away to obscurity. Worst case is that the game gets taken down due to his controversies and even gets him into further legal trouble. As of the recording of this video, Yandere Simulator has 2 of the 10 rivals completed over the course of 10 years. Assuming this is the pace the game is being made, it will take around another 40 years for a full release. So either way, I doubt we'll see a full release anytime soon. Summertime Saga. Summertime Saga is an adult sandbox-style point-and-click visual novel dating sim created by Dark Cookie and Compass Productions. The player assumes the role of a young man grieving the recent death of his father. He soon learns that his father kept many secrets when he is approached by members of the Russian mafia. In light of this new discovery, the protagonist must find a way to pay off the debt left by his father. In addition to his goal, our protagonist needs to improve his grades and find a date to prom. Like most dating sims, Summertime Saga offers a variety of characters the player can intimately engage with. By following a romanceable character's route, completing their requests, the player can unlock more events and intimate scenes. The game began development in 2016, with the first pre-tech demo being released in August 2016. Despite being far from completion, Summertime Saga garnered a massive fanbase. Its popularity is most likely due to a multitude of reasons. First, dating simulators are a genre not commonly popular in the Western market, most being small indie titles with little actual gameplay. Summertime Saga is unique in that it offers a substantial more amount of content beside walls of text. The game includes mini-games, puzzles, and stat grinding. In addition to this, the player is presented a greater sense of choice. While most character routes are quite linear, there are certain choices the player can make to change the final outcome of the character story. Furthermore, players can pursue or ignore character quests whenever they feel. They are allowed to be halfway through one character's romance quest and begin another one at the same time, without any consequences. The developers have also a fair amount of effort in community involvement. Patreon supporters are allowed to vote on the next development for the next update. And while there are complaints on how long each update takes, unlike Yandere Simulator, the updates seems to be regular and include a substantial amount of additions. And most importantly, there is a sense of quality and care put into this game. The art style, while out of the norm of most dating simulators, is unique and inoffensive to the eyes. The writing and characters are also well done for an indie game done by a small development team. Each route gives an adequate amount of character and relationship building to keep the player engaged with the game. And the world the player explores is filled with humorous references and memes as seen from characters such as Father Reeves or Ricky. As of this recording, the most recent release is version 0.20.16, and according to the development team, that's 81% completed. While uncertain, fans of this project should be able to see a finished product within 2 to 4 years. And with over 20,000 current patrons, the prospects seem good. However, game development can be unpredicted, and it's possible there could be future delays. Friday Night Funkin', the full-ass game. Friday Night Funkin' is an indie rhythm game created by Ninja Muffin 99, Phantom Arcade, Kawaii Sprite, and Evil Skater, collectively known as the Funkin' Crew. The player takes control of the character Boyfriend, who aims to have some alone time with his girlfriend, named Girlfriend. However, each week they seem to face a different obstacle, which forces Boyfriend to have a musical battle with various opponents. Gameplay is similar to Dance Dance Revolution. The opponent plays a sequence of directional arrows, which the player has to repeat using either the WASD keys or arrow keys. Missing too many notes will result in failure. Friday Night Funkin' was first released in 2020 on the website known as Newgrounds, and exploded into popularity in early 2021. So much so enough to crash the Newgrounds website. Despite its simplicity, Friday Night Funkin' gives a fun and engaging challenge presented with great music and art, including Newgrounds nostalgia and cryptic lore. In response to the unexpected success, the development team started a Kickstarter in April of 2021 for the possibility of making a big game and big money. The Kickstarter included 11 goals and a total of 23 tiers. Rewards for the total goals included 25 extra weeks, a mobile version, an online mode, character customization, cutscenes, and another difficulty level. Individual rewards offered to donators included the game itself, a plethora of physical merchandise, and the ability to implement things of your choice into the game. The Kickstarter was wildly successful, raising over 2 million USD. The immense success of this fundraiser was great news for fans, as many believed that their support would bring about their desired game soon. However, months and months passed without any meaningful updates, not for the progress of the game, and not for the rewards people paid for. Their once supportive community had turned on them, even to the extent that they thought they had been scammed, and the Funkin' team had just used the money to purchase meth or something. While an exaggerated response, this was a reaction the Funkin' crew caused themselves. They had overpromised and were underprepared for the promises they made themselves. Their initial reaction to the success of the Kickstarter made it obvious that they weren't expecting to get so much money, and because they were not committed to filling these requests from the start, everyone suffered. Backers have complained about not receiving their rewards for months after their shipping announcement, and of course, the development of the game has been delayed for an indefinite amount of time. Not only did they add an immense amount of work to complete the game, which involves all new songs, art, level design, and coding, but all of the physical rewards forces them to take time away from working on the game. The current most recent update on the Funkin blog shows progress of the game in early stages of development. So while the game is still steadily being made, there is still no estimated time of completion, and it is very possible that we may have to wait another decade or more for this game. Urban Demons. Urban Demons is an adult exploration RPG maker game created by Nurgle. The game follows a boy starting off moving to the city after his father seemingly disappeared. He arrives at the city and is greeted by two older female relatives. Shortly after, our protagonist gets in a lethal car accident, but miraculously survives with minimal damage and awakening a new power to influence those around him. Gameplay mainly consists of exploring the city and interacting with various women who live there. The player has the choice on how they will influence them, either earning their love or corrupting them into submission. Urban Demons began development around 2014 and is actually a recreation of another game called Urban X Life, made by Wooch, which was abandoned. The final version of Urban Demons is technically a completed game with 5 different endings, but is still considered in beta. However, Urban Demons is unique in the idea of never being complete for the legacy it has and the effect it has on games of a similar genre. Amongst fans, the game is praised for the number of characters the player can influence, as well as a fun and engaging way of implementing RPG Maker gameplay into the narrative. Despite that, the game is riddled with bugs, glitches, and issues in game design, leaving many feeling unsatisfied. In response to this, various independent game developers have taken it upon themselves to finish what was started. Dozens of mods, recreations, and alternate versions can be found online that are either in development or have been abandoned. Even more surprisingly, the original creator, Nurgle, returned from hiatus from making games to recreate Urban Demons once again. The project was announced on March 2024, seeking crowdfunding on Subscribestar. As of the recording of this video, the project has gained over 400 supporters and reached the first goal level. The game is planned to be rebuilt with a new RPG Maker 5 engine, as well as updated art and character design, and more content will be added to the base game if it receives more support. While still in very early development, a version 0.1 beta is planned to come out soon, which is a sign that the game will be made in a reasonable amount of time. Despite that, the number of mods and alternate versions seems to continue to grow, and will most likely continue to be made even after the official remake is completed. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is an upcoming action-adventure sci-fi game being developed by Ubisoft Montpellier. It is planned to be a prequel to the original Beyond Good and Evil, released in 2003. The first game was an action-adventure game with stealth, puzzle-solving, and platforming mechanics. The story follows Jade, a struggling reporter and photographer. Her and her friends live on a planet that is under attack from an alien race known as the DOMs. The planet's so-called protectors, known as the Alpha Section, have been suspected to be in collaboration with the DOMs. Jade is contacted by a secret organization with the goal of uncovering the truth about the Alpha Section. The player controls Jade as she is tasked to infiltrate several locations controlled by the Alpha Section and take photographic evidence to release to the public. The game was met with mostly positive reviews and was nominated and won numerous game awards. Despite that, overall sales were extremely poor, and even with its cliffhanger ending, ruined any possibility for a direct sequel. That was until 2016, when there was a small discussion of Beyond Good and Evil being in pre-production, and at E3 2017, Ubisoft showcased the cinematic reveal trailer. You'll probably noticed that the last 4 games I've talked about are all indie games being made by either one or a small group of people. Most of their funding comes from the support of their fans, and some are not full-time game developers. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is being made by Ubisoft Montpellier and published by Ubisoft, the so-called purveyor of quadruple A games. By 2022, the game has been in development for 15 years and has broken the record for the longest development for a video game, the previous being Duke Nukem Forever, which took 14 years. As of now, in 2024, that number has increased to 17 years and counting. with little to no updates on the current state of its development. I won't be surprised if they eventually announce cancellation of the game, but it seems they are determined to keep working on this. Even if it were to come out, I hypothesize the game will be an utter failure. First of all, the practices that Ubisoft has continued to do will most likely be implemented into this game. An extremely high price for a game that will be filled with bugs and glitches probably can't even be considered as incomplete. Multiple versions of the game with little bonuses for consumers, and forcefully making players use their own website and launcher of Uplay. Ubisoft has proven that they will continue to use these tactics regardless of the outcry from gamers, with the release of Star Wars Outlaws and Skull and Bones. Also, there has been increasing criticism on the assistance from companies such as Sweet Baby Inc. on AAA games. Many point out the diminishing quality of story, dialogue, characters, and even some aspects of gameplay of games touched by these companies. If you watch the cinematic reveal trailer, you can make some comparisons in the characters and writing of this upcoming game to games such as Saints Row Remake or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The trailer tries very hard to appeal to a stereotypical teenage and young adult audience. The main character acts like an idiot on TikTok, whose content is pranking and annoying people in public. The dialogue of the character only makes them worse, especially their abundant use of profanity, which portrays them as immature and obnoxious, like a grade schooler who learned a new bad word and is now using it in every other sentence to seem cool or edgy. The only redeeming quality I can point out is the graphics. But this is a cinematic trailer, so the actual game will most likely be much more disappointing. After playing Beyond Good and Evil on this very channel, I can really understand the acclaim that was given to it. The gameplay, while nothing exceptionally special, is well designed and offers a fun mixture of challenges for the player to overcome. The main character, Jade, is a brave and courageous young woman who puts her own life on the line in order to save her friends and family and the planet. She is a well-crafted, multi-dimensional character that earns the player's respect and leaves us wanting to see more of her story. And the original game's narrative was able to tell a meaningful and interesting story for an audience of all ages, while focusing on mature themes like government corruption and family bonds beyond blood, with a lighthearted and humorous take. It's true that I may be being too harsh on a game with only one trailer out, but in my experience, Ubisoft has underperformed for a long time, and every new game they put out just gets worse. As much as I would like a sequel to Beyond Good and Evil, the pattern Ubisoft has shown will probably ruin any chance the series has of a revival. Cancellation is probably the better option, but it seems they are so desperate to keep this going, they have what they call the Space Monkey program, which is essentially them asking for free labor from their fans. Anticipating players can interact with the developers and have them use their own art, music, or other creations to put into the game. And the most active and contributing Space Monkey participants will have a chance to be invited to play an early demo of the game. 17 years in so far, we may be waiting another 30 years for an update. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far in the video. Let me know your thoughts on any of the games in this video, or tell me any other games that have been in production forever. This is the first video of this kind that I've made, and I surprisingly enjoyed making it. So if you enjoyed it at all, please leave a like and subscribe to let me know to make more videos like this. And if you have a topic you would like to see, leave that in the comments as well. Thank you again so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you again before the release of any of these games.